Good morning, students, and we are ready with another topic this morning. And I'm picking up the story, the Blue Bead. I just put another recording of the cage bird. Now we want to do this particular story, the Blue Bead, by Norah Burke. Now, if you look at the word bead, now bead is a small sort of call it moti or pearl. Okay, some are real, some are coming out of the river. So this is what the title says: the blue bead. The color of the bead is blue. When we look at the author here, the author is Norah Burke, Norah Eileen Burke, and she has been a lover of the wildlife forest. So when we look at here, her father, uh, Rodmond St. George Burke, okay, this was her father. He was a forest officer in India. And she spent her early childhood in India and traveling through the Indian forest. So therefore, and she was always traveling with her father on the back of the elephant. So therefore, she has got love for the wildlife or nature, you can call it. And she has written a number of stories pertaining to the wildlife, wild animals, traveling through different forests in India. And therefore, this little uh, story by her, Norah Burke, is coming to us today. And her writings are, 11 leopards, okay, jungle child, and tiger country, and fire in the forest, and midnight forest. And these are some of the books that she has written. Some are short stories, some are long story, one book pertaining to only one story. So this is how we see her here. And this particular story, when we look at here, as I was going through the story, a very interesting story, a beautiful story about a 12-year-old girl by the name Norah. By the name Sibia, Sibia. Okay, she's only about 12-year-old. So when we look at here, she lives in a mud house and she lives near the forest, of course. Now, in order to go to the market, they have to cross the forest, and she goes with her parents to the forest. And she's coming from a very, very poor home. She has only hardly maybe one or two dresses to wear, and she's only 12-year-old. She cooks food for the home, and she cooks rice. She brings water from the river, and she takes over the cow dung and makes those fuel for the house. Okay, so these are some of the, and then she goes with her mother to collect paper grass. Now these are some of the things which this girl is interested in. In fact, for a 12-year-old to do so much work is a great thing. Now here, when we look at here, the story has to do with the girl, Sibia, and a crocodile. And this particular crocodile is, double in size. A man who is about 6 feet old. The length of this crocodile is about 12 to 13 feet. Okay, when we look at here, this is how double the size of a man who is 6 feet. Okay, and you can imagine the color of the crocodile is grayish dark. Okay, and when you look at when the crocodile opens his mouth, another jaw, those teeth are very sharp. Once he takes over the prey, it's very hard to get out of the clutches of the crocodile's jaw. So this is how ferocious he is. And we see him, he lives mostly in the river. He lives in the ocean, but mostly in the river. And then he also comes on the sand. Okay, you can see him taking sun bath in the sun. So this is how we see this particular crocodile. It has to do with this particular story. the blue bead. Okay, so that's the description of the crocodile as we have seen. Now, this particular girl, uh, she is living a poor life, as I told you. She lives in a mud house. And right now, the day has just begun for her. And she has helped her mother in the kitchen by cooking the last meal for today, that particular day. And she's eating one chapati with one green chili in that. And then she's put some butter or ghee on the chapati, rolled it, and then she's trying to eat only one chapati she has to eat because nothing else is there. And they have to work whole day. Then they have to sell the paper grass, and whatever money they are going to earn, from that money, they will have the evening meal. So you can imagine how hard the life of this little girl is. So she's eating that one chapati, and she will go to the forest to work and pick up the paper grass with the other ladies, with her mother also. So this is the hard life that CBI has to do in. And when we look at here, this particular day, she's dressed in earthen colored dress. Okay, earthen colors is the muddy dress. Okay, you can call it. Mud is the dark brown. Okay. I don't know why the author said muddy color. Maybe, the kind of work she does is, I think it is good for her to wear the muddy or the earthen kind of a dress so that when she's working, the dress does not look very dirty. So when you wear the earthen kind of a dress, even if you sit in the sand, it will not look dirty. So therefore, the author says she's wearing a muddy color dress or earthen color dress. And she says that she was poor and had never owned anything but a rag. Rag, you can understand. Either it's not a cloth, it's just torn clothing that she was used to. She had never owned even one anna. One anna is six paisa, you call it in Indian rupees. That is the minimum amount a person can have. But she has never had even one anna. So I remember when we were I'm talking about 60s, one anna, then they will have the 25 paisa, then they will have 50 paisa, that coin would be there, then 1 rupee coin would be there, 20 paise coin will be there, 5 paise coin will be there. This is how we used to have those coins here in India. Now we don't see any 5 paisa coins. We don't see any 10 paisa coins, not 20 paisa coins. But in 60s and 70s, we used to see all these coins, and we used to call them 1 anna, and 25 is 4 annas, 50 is half an anna. Okay, so this is how we used to say. Now 8 annas, 50 rupees used to be 8 annas, and this is how that 1 rupee. So this is how we used to talk about when it comes to the coin in 60s. So she doesn't even own 1 anna, that is 6 paise. Now she has, whenever she goes to the market, they have to cross a jungle and then reach on the other side of the jungle, there is a market. Now, when she goes with her parents to the market, she stops at different stalls. When she looks at sweet meat or sweets shop, maybe some jalebis, she stands there and very eagerly she will be looking at jalebis, maybe laddus, but she doesn't have money to buy. Her parents don't have money. And then they will take her to the next stall. And next stall, when she goes in, she looks at those satin clothes, the colorful clothes, the embroidered clothes. And then she will again stand up there and look at those clothes, lovely clothes. When can I have those clothes? Why I don't have clothes? Why am I so poor? All those feelings keep coming to her mind. And the parents will go a little further and she will follow them. And then she will see the shop, the vendor, selling glass bangles. We call it churi. And then she will look for those glass bangles. She will look for the small beads. I wish I could have those beads. I wish I could have a necklace of those beads. But then she would come back without buying anything except for some few grocery items because the parents could not afford much. So this was her life that she was living. In spite of the way that she had gone to the bazaar many times, she was not able to buy the things that she longed for because they had no money. They were living in a muddy house. So when we look at here, after having her breakfast on this particular day, breakfast of one chapati, some ghee put over there, and green chilies, and she's just satisfied with that, drank water and goes with a woman to collect paper grass. So, when they have to go to the forest, the river, if it is not very deep, so there'll be stones, okay, to cross the river. So, these women will very easily, they'll be talking and chatting and laughing and giggling and all that. That then there is going to be a lot of noise because all the women go together, the children go together, and they keep making noise. So in this particular area, the crocodile was living. I told you, gave you the description of the crocodile. He was living there, and then when he saw, the crocodiles are scared of noise. So whenever the ladies would come there and they would be crossing the river, this crocodile would not go close to them. He will try to keep himself away from them because of the noise these ladies kept making. So he could not touch any or charge at any woman. And so here, these women, they steps onto those stones, cross the river, and then they go back, they go on the other side of the river, and then they get back to their work of collecting paper grass. And then whole day they did their work, and then it is evening time for them to go back to do some cooking for the home and to sell the paper grass to the person who will be waiting for them and give them the money, and then they will buy things to cook for the evening meal. So this was what the ladies began to go back. So it was evening, and all of them had gone back. Now, while going to Syria, while going to her home, she has to pass by the Gujar woman's home. Now, Gujar is a tribe in the jungle who do not like to stay in the town area. They have their cattle, they have their own home, they make a fencing there, they carry water from the river, and then they stay there. They have the cow and the goats and the hens, all those supplies they have. And so they like to stay there near the forest. So here, before reaching her home, she has to pass through the Gujar woman's home, Gujar people's home. So Sibia was left behind. Oh no, she did not go with those women, let's say that, because she had made some toys out of the mud. And after making those toys with the mud, she had kept them to dry. So she was waiting for them to let them dry some more, and then I'll carry them to my home in the evening. So she did not go with the women. So all the women returned. And then one woman she was a Gujar woman, she brought 2 pots, okay, those mud pots, to bring water from the river. She comes to the river and she, when you are at the starting of the river, the water will not be clear or clean. So this Gujar woman goes little deeper down into the river, maybe up to her knees or above her knees. She goes up to there, and then she takes those pots, and as she is dipping the pots into the water, what happens? The crocodile who was sitting whole day and he saw no other noise is coming. This woman also is coming very quietly. The crocodile charged on her and pounced on her and was able to take her leg in her jaws. Okay. The crocodile, once he takes the leg or the foot of this woman in his jaw, it's very hard to get it out because he would immediately close the jaws. So this is what happened. The crocodile was trying to pull the woman into the deeper part of the river. And this woman was crying and the blood was coming out of the leg where the crocodile was hanging on to, not leaving the leg very tightly. And she screamed, she cried, and then Sibia was the one, I told you she was left behind, and she comes there. She quickly jumps on the river, on those steps and reaches this woman, and then she has a hay fork. Now, hay fork is, you collect grass with that. It's like a three pointed thing. You collect grass this way. So that hay fork Sibia had in her hand. Now here, crocodile can easily use his tail to hit at the girl, and the girl will be badly hurt. But the focus of crocodile was the woman's leg and pulling her deeper into the water. Now, Sibia was, that sixth sense of her worked very fast. She took the hay fork and she was aiming at the eyes of the crocodile. And, she took, with all her force, she takes the hay fork and pokes a thrust into the eye of the crocodile. One of the hay fork, those three, one goes deeper part into the eyes at the back side of the eyes, and the two are on the cheek. They are going deeper into his cheek. And when the hay fork reaches into the eyes of the crocodile, he leaves the woman and he runs for his life. And he disappears. And this woman, she faints almost. And so Sibia was able to hold her and drag her to the outside the river. And she somehow was able to, God gave her strength, and she was able to drag that woman out. And she sees the leg of the woman was badly injured. So she takes the mud and wraps it around the leg of the woman, ties it with a cloth, the rag that she was wearing, ties it. And then somehow the woman gains strength and she limps, and Sibia was able to hold her, give her the support to help her reach her home. So when she reaches home and the husband, tries to take her for the higher treatment for her wife. So now Sibia knows she has to go back and she has to get the hay fork. She has to collect all her things. She goes back to the river. And then when she goes to she had thrown her hay fork, and then it was on the edge of the river in water. So she goes there and she tries to pick up the hay fork. She's not at all scared of the crocodile, that he would attack me. She goes there quietly and she picks up the hay fork. And as she's picking up the hay fork, she sees one blue color bead. And when she looks at the blue color bead, she forgets everything. She picks up the blue color bead, she picks up the hay fork, and she literally runs. It was very dark for her. And those wild animals, they come out when it is dark. She was not scared of anything. She takes the blue bead. She is so excited and happy. And she literally running towards her home. And the mother was trying to look for her. She came out of her home and she was very upset with her. And she was worried, oh, nothing has happened to my daughter. She's safe. And the mother, after all, mothers are the ones who are always, worrying about the children, especially when they are not home and it is dark. So as soon as the moment she looks at the mother, what happened? Where were you? Why did you take so long? All this, now the mother kept asking her questions, but she was not bothered about all that. She said, you are so late and it's so dark. Anything can happen to you. I was worried nothing should happen to you. And so she says, mother, I found this bead. I'm going to put it in my necklace. That was her excitement. So we see here, she says, I found a blue bead for my necklace. Look, that's where the story ends. We see that here child, they are innocent. The children, they are fearless. Now, one thing that we should notice when we look at the theme of this story is, it's not the strength that matters. Okay, it says here, the stories convey the idea that we do not need superpowers to help others. We need to toughen up to help others. That means she was only 12 years old. Now, a 12-year-old girl standing in front of the crocodile who has taken the leg of the woman in his jaws, and she has only the hay fork, nothing else, no other equipment she has, no gun, no sword, only the hay fork. Now, it is the determination of the child. It is the willingness of the child. She forgot her fear because she wanted to save the woman. And then second thing she does was she is aiming the eye of the crocodile. And she's aiming at the right place, because if she is trying to aim at the crocodile's eye, definitely once the hay fork goes into the eyes of the crocodile, he would not be able to see. The crocodile screamed when the hay fork went into his eye. It went right into the deeper part of the eyes. He had to leave the leg of the woman and she was able to save. So we need to toughen ourselves. We have to have in our mind that we can help. We don't have to be, oh, I'm only 12-year-old, I'm only 5-year-old. How can I help the person? But we need to decide, we need to determine. And once we determine, God is always on our side. He helps us to, say we are only 12-year-old, bringing the woman, dragging the woman, putting mud on the leg of the woman, they're tying, putting the mud on the woman, the bleeding stopped. That was the main thing she was supposed to do. If she did not put mud on the woman's leg, the woman would have bled to death. There was no point in saving the woman, but she put mud and bleeding stopped. And the husband took her to the higher medical hospital. And so here we see the braveness of this child saves a little woman, a Gujar woman, which was saving her life at the right moment. God bless you. And we will take up this class tomorrow as offline also. So you can go over this and you can also study the poem and the story. And I will be giving you the question answers later on. I will put a PDF I will make and I'll give you the question answers of this and also of the little caged bird. I've given in the offline questions on the caged bird, but for this one I will give in the class and I will send the PDF. God bless you, children. Take care. Enjoy your Janmashtami and help your mother. Have a good day.